What's up, everybody? My name is Charles Marduk. I'm a singer-songwriter and producer based in New York City. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my new EP, Fever Dreams, which is out on Spotify and Apple Music. Go check that out if you haven't. And I'm going to be kind of talking about my songwriting process, kind of some of the inspirations that went into it, and what I was thinking when I created the EP. So without further ado, here it is, Fever Dreams Explained. Fever Dreams is kind of a loose concept EP, although there's not like a strict narrative from start to finish. It's all meant to kind of flow like a dream, like one continuous kind of nightmare with these 5 different little vignettes kind of breaking it up. A lot of the language and imagery is meant to reflect sort of dream logic. Although every idea is based on a true event or a feeling that I've had at some point, it's not meant to be strictly autobiographical. I'm not necessarily speaking from a first-hand perspective in all the songs. It's more just kind of this random, stream of consciousness imagery that I've kind of come up with. I try to take a situation that I've been through or an idea that I have and boil it down to an archetype or a concept that can be universal, that anyone can kind of relate to or feel like they've experienced. My songwriting style is very stream of consciousness. I don't try to think a whole lot about creating a specific story or narrative or giving it a specific meaning. It's just more supposed to be kind of word vomit that I think sounds interesting on the beat. There aren't any ideas or narratives that are premeditated. I kind of just start with a beat, I make a beat, and then I try to write a story around kind of the vibe that beat gives me and try to put some words to the feeling that I get. 90% of the songs I usually write in like 1 or 2 drafts. Maybe I'll break it up into 2 different sessions, but a lot of it, like 90% of it, is just whatever comes out, and then I'll go back and kind of tweak certain things and adjust certain language to make it flow a little bit smoother and make it seem a little bit more cohesive. And I try to focus a lot on the sounds of the words and the aesthetics of the image more than like a strict meaning or message. So anything that you kind of interpret from the song is kind of on you. There's not really a specific meaning that I'm trying to get at. It's more just supposed to be something to create conversation and create something to think about. So the first song on the EP, The Sickness, is kind of a love song that's also partially about addiction. It kind of explores the duality between passion and intensity and insanity. Love can feel great in the moment, but it can also kind of make you do crazy things, just like a drug or just like, any other kind of psychological affliction. So it kind of explores that relationship between, kind of having this crazy passion, but also it turning into something that's obsessive and kind of, overwhelming you. It's also kind of vaguely based on the Odyssey or like the hero's journey. It's like a character who's, down and out trying to fight to return to some sort of vague lost love or accomplish some sort of goal before he can return home. There's some sort of unknown battle that the hero of the song is confronting, and he has to kind of accomplish it before he can be cured of the sickness. And it's kind of about continuing to fight despite being kind of beaten down or being, subjected to, some sort of situation in your life that you couldn't control. It's also it's supposed to be inspirational, but also kind of brutally honest and a little bit dark at the same time. Love and life are sometimes tough to deal with, but if you keep just pushing, everything eventually makes sense. And that's kind of the crux of the song, that, no matter what, you gotta just keep on keeping on. Alright, the second song on the album, Hurt You, is a ballad about the consequences of ambition. It's also kind of a love song, but has these slightly darker undertones. I kind of almost rap, the first 2 choruses and the first 2 verses, and the chorus is kind of a little bit more melodic, a little bit more tender. It's kind of about the sacrifice that you have to make in order to achieve your goals, and the acknowledgement that sometimes that sacrifice can be a little bit selfish. The first 2 verses are more about the pursuit of like money and success and fame, while the chorus and the final verse are more about the downfall of the pursuit and how it sometimes becomes one-dimensional. It's kind of based on this realization I've made in my own life that even though sacrifice is important to get what you want and to accomplish your goals, it shouldn't be at the expense of other aspects of your life and other, areas that you might, want to explore later on. The song is actually written in two different periods, kind of over a year apart. I wrote the first two verses about maybe 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, and also the first part of the chorus, and then I wrote the third verse and fixed up the hook very recently. I feel like that kind of gave an interesting progression, at least to me, because I can kind of see where I started with the song and where I ended up with it. So the third song on the album, When I Fall Asleep, is kind of a trap-inspired fable or lullaby. It's very simple, very atmospheric, very hard-hitting. I kind of focused on just, with the beat, just kind of an 808 and that little, whatever that is, kettle drum sample that I looped. It's not really supposed to be much of a narrative. It's more just a little vignette, a little brief look into my subconscious. The themes of it are all about this pursuit of success in America and the risks that you have to take in order to make it. I kind of see it as a little bit of a prayer to keep me safe through the ups and downs of trying to pursue whatever I'm trying to pursue, music or whatever. And yeah, so it's just kind of a little bit of a brief interlude to kind of break up some of the longer songs on the album. It was more of a style experiment than more of a flushed out song, so that's why I kind of placed it third in the track list, just to kind of separate the first half from the second. Private Oasis, the fourth song on the EP, is a ballad about kind of searching for peace of mind. This one kind of had a weird inspiration. It was weirdly inspired by a real estate ad that I saw one day when I was walking through the West Village. The ad had, pictures for all these luxury condos, and the ad copy on it was, find your private oasis. And I had this beat that I was working on that I had named Oasis, so I kind of loved how poetic the copy was, yet how weirdly vapid and kind of superficial it was at the same time. It weirdly kind of just fit for what I was trying to accomplish with the song. So that's where the title and the concept kind of started. Like I said, I already had the beat on my hard drive, and so I kind of felt a weird connection between that for some reason. This song definitely has the strongest, most cohesive narrative of any of the songs on the album. It's kind of about this outlaw, kind of marginalized character who goes through some sort of mental breakdown and has to go searching for a place where he can rest and find peace. At the end of the song, he weirdly ends up in prison and finds the peace he's looking for, but kind of in a depressing, dark kind of way. I would say this song is very Bob Dylan inspired. I listened to a lot of Bob Dylan when I was younger, and he was definitely a songwriter I looked up to, so I kind of, when I listen to this song back, I definitely see where that inspiration comes in. It's not really autobiographical, like I said, although it is definitely inspired by certain things that I've experienced. It's meant to be kind of this hallucinogenic opera about a quest for something, some goal, some peace, some vague idea that you don't really understand, but that you're kind of throwing yourself into nonetheless. There isn't just a real clear message, it's just another detour in the fever dream to kind of bring you up to the climax of the album, or the EP. So the final song on the album, Crown of Thorns, is this kind of EDM pop trap epic about a quest for power. The narrative of the song is about kind of this character who's on the margins of society, who's living this nihilistic kind of party lifestyle. It kind of starts out similar to Private Oasis, where you have this character who's kind of having a break and going on some sort of random anarchist kind of quest. The chorus goes a bit deeper and explores the pain that kind of caused this darkness, and evoking the imagery of Jesus wearing a crown of thorns to kind of articulate the sort of, the kind of random violence and the random brutality of the world. It's really about kind of this underdog finding inner strength to overcome whatever evils are pushing him down, to kind of use that and harness it as strength rather than let it kind of bury you. It's about accepting the pain to fuel you instead of letting it destroy you. It's another song that isn't really autobiographical. I wasn't really kind of basing this on my own life, but it's this kind of driven by this sense of rebellion, this sense of, kind of urgency that sometimes in life you're up against things that you can't really control, but you have to kind of keep pushing and keep doing what you got to do. I produced this song specifically to have this kind of epic stadium rock feel. It's something that I've really liked to play live, especially as the last song in the set. I usually close whatever my live performance is out with this song, and it usually is a good, concluding kind of epic. That's why it's the last song on the album, EP, whatever. It's just a song about how to triumph through pain and troubled times. I think it's especially relevant now in the kind of the times that we're going through with the quarantine and whatever's going on. It's just about kind of pushing through despite whatever kind of is up in your path, And so it kind of concludes the album in a very epic, but also kind of a question mark, kind of an open-ended kind of a way. It's not really meant to, tie together any loose threads. It's more meant to take the whole album and bring it into one kind of summative statement that kind of leaves you thinking about some of the themes that are brought up and some of the ideas that I presented. So that's basically the EP in a nutshell. There's more of an insight into just my songwriting style and some of the inspiration behind the music more than it is a strict definition of what the songs mean. To be honest, I've never been a real fan of giving meaning to any kind of art. I think it's more just a conversation starter. Whatever interpretations you have for the songs are just as valid as anything I just said. I'm just kind of giving you a look into kind of where some of the ideas came from and, what you're supposed to take away from it. My music is kind of more like abstract art or pop art, the way I look at it. It exists as a spectacle to be discussed more than is meant to convey a particular message or meaning. So I definitely encourage you to, find your own ideas and find your own meanings in the songs. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on social media at Charles Marduk on Twitter and at Charles Marduk Productions on Instagram, Charles Marduk on Facebook, Charles Marduk, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever else, TikTok you want to find me. And yeah, definitely look out for more content and more music to come.